Hello, hello. Happy Friday, everybody. How is everybody? So I'm so used to Wednesday that I almost just came on and said, Happy Wednesday, everybody, but it's not Wednesday, is it? Normally we go live on Wednesdays if you've watched me before, but Facebook was having its issues on Wednesday, and then yesterday was the 4th, and I knew that everybody would be happy, having fun with their family and doing all of that, so I thought, okay, let's just go live on Friday. Everybody will be probably tired at home from the 4th festivities and all of that, so here we are. Welcome, everybody. If this is your first time, my name is Katrina, and I am the owner and cookie artist here at Dots and Bows Cookies, so welcome. Tonight we're going to be doing a fun little set. If you attended Cookie Years Live, then you would have seen this cookie or heard about this cookie cutter. This is our famous little black dress cutter. So we're going to do something cute with this tonight because, like I said, I've had tons of ideas swirling through my head about what I've been wanting to do with this. So I figured tonight we'll do something fun, and I'm going to zoom in just a tad. Okay. So welcome, everyone. Yes, Mona, you did. Did I see, Darla, it was your birthday? Happy birthday. Okay, our keyword tonight is lemons. So if you type lemons into the comment bar down below, you'll get some notifications to your Facebook Messenger inbox. If you follow the prompts in there, it'll send you to some cool links we have. Some of those links tonight are to some of our cutters in our online shop if you are interested. 2 of which cutters we are going to be using, where I use them on cookies tonight. So we designed this 5-point pinwheel that everyone seemed to really love when we did our 4th of July cookies. So we're going to be doing that tonight. But we're doing like a lemon theme tonight, hence the background and our keyword tonight, lemons. So let's go ahead and get started, and then I'll kind of talk about what we're doing as we're doing it. If you can see, I did some little sketches here on the dress just to kind of give myself some guidelines to go by. First and foremost, we're going to start right off the bat with some airbrushing. So I am going to slide a paper towel under here just so I don't get stuff all over my table. Oh, 49. Well, you know what? You look way younger than 49, so I'll tell you that. Seeing as I've got to meet you in person. Okay, so I made a lemon stencil, a 2-piece lemon stencil, and it may be hard for you to kind of see that. The first part I'm going to be using, maybe if I tilt it you can kind of see it in the light. The first part I'm going to be using is the leaves that's on the top of the lemon, and then the second part is the actual lemons. So I figured it would be really cute if we did that on this skirt. So tonight I'm actually going to be showing you how to do patterns 2 different ways on a cookie. With stenciling, if you want to use stencils, with either airbrush or scraping icing, or if you want to do a wet on wet method, which is what I did here, and I'm going to show you guys how I did that. Hey Faye, how are you? Okay. So first I'm going to go ahead and place our stencil down on our cookie. Now when you're stenciling a cookie or airbrushing with a stencil on a cookie, you want to make sure that you have the cookie somewhat centralized within your holder and your stencil. It's going to allow your stencil to lay more flat and even to your cookie. So it's going to keep it from having less underspray and issues with not having those sharp, crisp lines. So these are the leaves for the lemon. So I'm just going to kind of play around with this and see. I think I kind of like it right there. And we're going to start with the green. Hey Tammy, how are you? This is Gourmet Green. This is airbrush color from the Cookie Countess. I absolutely love all of their gel and airbrush colors. Hey Trinice, how are you? So I have my airbrush gun here, and I don't need very much. I'm only going to put maybe a drop of green in. You don't need a lot at all because we're only doing a few little leaves here. And these lemons on this stencil are a little bit larger, but if you wanted to use a smaller one, you could. Like I said, I just made this because I didn't have a lemon stencil already. But there's a bunch of shops that make them too if you want to search. I think Killer Zebras has one. Maybe some other people too, but as far as like a 2-piece, I believe I've seen one at Killer Zebras. Hello everybody. Okay. So I'm coming up above where the leaves are, and I am just going to start adding real light layer of color. You don't want to do too much or too heavy. You just want to start light and build it up. And the gun I'm actually using has a larger nozzle on the end because it is meant for like metallics, you know, thicker colors, thicker airbrush colors, so it passes through the gun a little more easily than a normal airbrush gun. All right, so there's our leaves on our dress, and I'm gonna switch it out for the second part. Hey Samantha from Canada, how are you? I'm gonna switch this out with our second piece, and I did not mark these stencils, so let me make sure these line up, because if they don't, then I'm gonna hate my life if I try to do that. So let me see here. And what I mean by lining it up is when I put it together, I want to make sure that it's where I want it to be. So let's see here. I had it on like this. So let me turn this. I want them to line up the way that they were lining up when I made the stencil. So let me just test this. You kind of got to turn it and twist it until you figure out. Now you can fix this by putting like tabs on the top. I didn't do that when I cut these stencils. I just went with it. Okay, that looks pretty dang close right there. Let me just test this again. Let me make sure I'm not losing my marbles here. Hey Janie, how are you? Okay. For some reason, it's not lining up the way I had it. Let me just test this. This is what happens when you take the stencil apart and you didn't mark the way you had it. Okay, that's right. All right. So I'm going to pop this into my holder here. And then what I'm going to try to do, I'm going to spray out the rest of that green that I had in my airbrush gun. I'm not going to rinse it in between because they're pretty kind of close in color. I just want to get rid of the excess. And then when I put the yellow in, because I'm going from a darker to a lighter, I'll probably give it a little bit of spray just to kind of clear out that green, because I want a nice crisp yellow. I don't want it mucked up at all with green. Okay, we're looking pretty good. All right, so let me go ahead and let's try to, I gotta find out where my lemons were so I can line it up here. For some reason, I am not lining up my stencil. Hold on a second. I may have had it flipped over too, because that happens too. There we go. Now it's perfect. Okay, so now I know where it goes. Let me put it back in my holder. My little stencil genie here. Okay. Now we're in business, folks. Okay. So here's where, if you can kind of see where I'm lining up the lemons, they're kind of lining up to where they meet my little leaves here. And I have yellow in my airbrush. No, they're not too hard. It's just some steps. And if you can see, I'm just adding my lemons. So I'm building up the yellow color. I'm slowly just adding a little bit at a time. You'll get splotches in your airbrush color if you try to go too close and too hard with the color at once. You just want to slowly add. Okay. And there's our lemons. It's cute, right? All right. So there's the bottom part of our dress. I wanted to get that part done because I'm going to add a little bit of a hanger at the top, and I want to give it just a little bit of time so that can crust over, and we'll work on a couple of the other cookies too. But isn't that adorable? You could even go in and do like a two-tone leaf if you wanted to. There's a bunch of things you can do. Okay. So I have some white icing here, and all of my icing is a little bit thicker. It's all flood, except for I have a thicker yellow that I'm going to be using, but it's been in the fridge, so it's still a little bit cold, which makes it a little bit thick, but that's not a problem. It's going to be 3 cookies, but one of them I have 2 cookies because I'm going to show you how I did the steps on it. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly just make like a hanger. I'm not going to make this super detailed or anything like that. I just want to get a hanger at the top of the dress here, because this is our dress cookie cutter that we designed. So we made it to where it was pretty girly. It has kind of like a lot of curve and shape to it, but you can add like a little hook at the top of the hanger, which I've done on other ones I've made before. Tonight we're just going to get some icing down on it. Okay, so we're going to set this aside and let that crust over, and we'll come back to this one and add some more things to it. And you know what? Let me just go put some water in my airbrush gun real quick, because I don't want. We'll do the lemon here in a second, because I don't want it to get all dried up in there. Give me one sec. Okay. I just put a couple drops of water in my airbrush gun so the color doesn't dry up in there, because then I'm going to have a clog. Okay, so now for the lemon, the first thing that we're going to do, I have some yellow flood, as we're just going to flood in our entire lemon, and then once that's crusted over, we'll come and just add a couple of details to it. So I'm going to outline first. It feels kind of weird being on here on a Friday night. I'm not used to it. But then again, my youngest is out of town, and she's been out of town for a couple weeks now. She's in Florida visiting my in-laws. So my days they don't really have too much meaning right now, if that makes sense. Like, obviously I'm still kind of keeping track of what day is what, but it's not the same as if like she was here. I'm not really on a set schedule per se. And it's summertime, and my teens, they're in and out, they work, so. Hey Allie, how are you? I know, right? When life gives you lemons, I love lemons. Lemons is like one of my favorite designs for anything. Okay, so there's our little lemon. All I did was just outline, flood it in. We're going to let this crust. Now, to the fun part. I am going to show y'all how I did this on this pinwheel, which, by the way, we have this cutter for sale in our online shop as well. That's one of the links you get access to when you put in the keyword. But we're going to do something fun. One of kind of like the trends, which I love, because if you wanted to do something similar on the dress, you could have, but I wanted to show one cookie that had one element, another cookie that had another. This cookie we did with a stencil, but if, let's say, you didn't have a lemon stencil and you wanted to do something, you can do a wet on wet method. And we're going to go back and do detail on this, but first I want to show you how I did it on this one. Okay, so we are going to go in with, I'm going to show you how I kind of mark up the cookie so I know where to do what on it. You don't have to do the pinwheel this way. You could do just one of these branches, like these arms. You could do all in one if you want. I like to split it up. It gives the cookie a lot of dimension, okay? So what I did was, if you can kind of see on the cookie, when it comes here on the arm, it comes to kind of like a point in the center of the arm here, if you can see that, right? So that would be kind of like my center line. I draw a line down so I can make these smaller triangles that go from small to wider at the top, okay? So to do that, I'm going to move this out of the way. To do that, I just find that point, and I take an edible marker and I draw to the center. And as I turn the cookie, I keep doing this all the way around the cookie. That's your first step. You find that center kind of arc, that point, and then you draw to the center. And if you don't make it super straight, it's not a big deal. It's kind of just a guideline. Then what I do is where the two arms come together in that inner point right here, I like to draw another line. That's going to tell me that that's the smaller little triangle here, okay, in between the larger ones. Now, if you can just do this without an edible marker, you can do that too. I like to have the guidelines. It kind of just helps me keep track. If I was doing like 50 of these, probably after the first one or two, I wouldn't need the lines. You just know what you're doing. But, if you're starting out and you want to start your design out that way, that's an easy way to do it. Okay, now, I have this pretty pink. Yeah, Tammy, you're always going to get a little bit of spread. Spread's kind of what it is. Mine do it just a hair, but what I also notice is when I think it's spread and then they cool down, they shrink back up a little bit. So, but you're always going to have the slightest bit of, you're never going to have it where it's completely non-spread. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead with this pink color, just like I did over here, and we're going to flood in the larger triangles on the pinwheel, okay? So I'm going to start and just outline. And we'll flood this in. And I'm only going to do one triangle at a time because we're going to be doing a wet on wet on each one of them. And with wet on wet, you kind of have to move quick and you don't want to get ahead of yourself. If I were to go in and flood in every one of these larger triangles, by the time I got around to my fifth one, it may already start be crusting over. So you want to do one at a time. Now what I'm doing is I have a yellow color here, the same thing we did with the lemon, the same color, and I'm going to do a wet on wet lemon. So what I'm going to do, let me wipe off the tip of my bag here, make sure it's not crusted over. I just kind of hand drew on with my icing a little bit of a lemon where I made it kind of like a point on each end and then just kind of like a little circle, okay? These don't have to be perfect. You just want kind of like the rough shape of what you're looking for, okay? Because we're going to go back in with an edible marker and we're going to do some cute like little outlining on it just to kind of accent that a little bit. Okay, so once I have a few on there, a few of my lemons, then I went in with my green icing and we're going to add the leaves. Now to add the leaves, I just will kind of stick one off to the side at the top of a lemon. And all you do is pipe on a little dot. You don't have to do anything yet. We're going to use our tool to do this. Okay? Let me zoom in a little bit and maybe you guys can see that a little closer. You guys see that a little closer? I know there might be a glare from my light, but... And then I also went and I did like a couple of the random leaves kind of off somewhere, right? So I take my scribe, your boo-boo stick, toothpick, whatever you want to use, and all I do is I grab the very end of one of these dots and I just pull out just a little bit. Okay, I know that might be hard to see. Once I get them all done, I'll kind of lift it up and show you what I did. I'm just pulling the end of the circle out and it makes a pointed tip like a leaf. Okay, and that's all I'm doing. And I'm wiping off my scribe in between each time so I don't transfer color from the last time. So let me pull this one out a little bit more. So if you can kind of see that, you see how they kind of pull out a little bit at the end. You can probably see it on the drier one. They're not perfect little circles. I have them come out. That's how you just do like a leaf in the wet on wet. Okay? So that's what you would do all the way around on all of them. That's what I did on this one. So every other large triangle on the pinwheel, I just flooded it in pink and then I did my wet on wet lemons and the green with the leaves. Okay? All right, now before we do anything on this, let's go back to our dress because I want to add some icing so it can start drying up just a little bit. So here's our dress. I'm trying to keep this out of the shadow. I have a weird shadow from my iPad being right here, so I'm trying to keep that from happening. Hey Kelly, how are you? I know, right, Liz? You get more cookies, no doubt. Okay, so I figured it would be really cute if we did a pink kind of center section on the dress here, kind of like the waist, right? So maybe it's like a band on the waist of the dress. And then we did a yellow top to tie in all those same colors that we're doing on the other cookies. All right. So let's do this. I'm going to do the yellow part at the top first because I want that to crust over before we put the little band on because I have a cute little transfer we're going to put on the band. So I'm going to use my guidelines that I drew on. And I'm going to pipe on and flood in my top of my dress. Okay, so there's the top of the bodice part of our dress. All right, I wanted to get that done and out of the way. Once our white crust up just a little bit more, I don't even know if I'll do it on this one, but what I like to do for the hangers is once it's crusted up enough or even dry, go back in with gold or silver and paint your hanger whatever color you want. It just gives it more of a pop. You know, you can see your hanger. And before, like I said, I didn't do it completely solid at the top. You can do like a little hook at the top for the hanger, whatever you want to do. I know, you took time off. Well, enjoy your time off. I know with the kids it can get a little crazy in the summer, so. Okay. Hey Barbara, how are you? All All right, so now we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna go in and add some accents with a black edible marker. This one is absolutely one of my favorites for small detail work. I got it maybe a month or two ago. I've used it a couple times, but it's amazing. It's by Tweets, and we have a link to it on our product page. So again, if you put in lemons, and you follow the prompts and you go to the links for the product page we have, the link to where you get this marker is on there. I love it because the tip is super fine. So you can do fine little detail work with it, and it has amazing color. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and add some really kind of organic looking little edible marker lines to this to kind of make this design pop. And then once we do that, we'll go in and we're going to fill in all the small triangles with our yellow. So it really ties, again, everything into that theme we have. Hey Annette, how are you? Right, Kathy? I know, I absolutely love these. For like fine detail, this is the one to go with. Okay, so I'm just going to start on one of these. So for like the leaf, I'm not going to like make them completely like solid or anything. I'm just going in, I'm going to add some cute little lines. So I might do like a line, break it up a little bit, some dots. And you can see how that adds, it makes the whole design pop, right? So we're going to continue going around and we're going to outline. You're basically just kind of outlining. You don't want it to be perfect. You want it to kind of be, I like to use the word organic. You want it to be imperfect because that's what's going to make it really pop and be cute, okay? So we're going to go around our leaves again. And again, around parts of our lemon, right? And around the leaves that we have kind of staggered here. I can hear my daughter, she's FaceTiming us from her grandparents' house. So there's one side of it. Cute, right? So it just makes that whole design kind of just pop off the cookie. So we'll quickly go around this and outline the rest. Okay. And again, this is why I like these two, because you can be imperfect with it. You can go off the color if you want. There's no rhyme or reason. You want it to look almost imperfect, okay? So you don't have to be here trying to do like super crazy small little detail lines. You know, just have fun with it. Just kind of organically go around it. And it really doesn't take too much time. Once you get going, and if you weren't doing it, you know, like on a live or anything, it would go kind of fast too. So you can see how small those detail lines I'm getting with that marker. It's one of my absolute favorites. Oh, thank you, Annette. Yeah, this is one of my favorite cutters that we've made. It's one of those things where you can tie it into so many different themes. So it's great in that way. Like I said, I just used it for my 4th of July, and I made it into like a 4th of July kind of cute little, a cute little pinwheel. So you can do all kinds of things with it. It's a great summer cutter, I'll tell you that. Okay. I don't know that we're even going to go all the way around this. I might. I mean, it won't take me very long. What else are we going to do, right? We're here making cookies. So we have 3 done. You can see it doesn't take them very long. Diane, this is amazing. I'm telling you, it's the best fine, like little fine one that I have found. And the black is like so stark black. You know, the color is just amazing. Did you, Jessica? Well, I hope you have fun with it. Which, by the way, I know we put this on the page, and if you didn't catch it, we had a bunch of misprints that we had listed on the page. They work perfect. They cut the cookie perfect. They just have some like cosmetic flaws on like the handle. And those are marked down and discounted in our shop right now. So I think there's some left on some of the designs. Hey Jane, how are you? Okay, so again, we're going to do our last one here, and then we'll start filling this in. But I just absolutely love this. I love doing this kind of cookie. I think it gives it such a cute feel, kind of like a pop art feel to me. And it's just, I just think they're adorable. And it's something different, you know, it's not the same old, same old. Okay. So we're done with that part. Jane, you're in Florida? I'll be there next week. Okay, so here's this. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to come back in with our yellow icing color, and we're going to outline and flood in all of our small triangle areas that are unflooded, okay? So I'm just outlining. The end of my bag is kind of wonky. Here, I'm going to have to fix it. And we're flooding this in. Oh, they ate it? Oh, no. Luckily, my dog is tiny and she can't get really to anything. I would have to literally put my stuff on the floor for her to get to it. And even then, she doesn't really mess with it. So that's lucky. Okay. So we'll keep moving around our pinwheel here and flooding all of this in. Alright. And I'm just kind of haphazardly doing this, by the way. I'm not being like super duper careful, but it's just flooding, so it's not too terrible. Tammy, I'm getting ready to post about that in the crew here in a couple minutes. We had the crew shop shut down because we were trying to catch up on everybody's orders for the monthlies and everything going out, so. Okay. Hey, Brianna, how are you? It was good. It was quiet here with really no kids. So my teens went and did their own thing, and then Avery was gone, so, you know. Okay, so I'm going to move this off to the side for a second. And then I think we'll be safe enough. I may not do the hanger just because it may not be quite dry enough. So we'll, you know, we'll do that. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go in with the pink icing color. Give me 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go in with the pink, and we're going to add that in for the band. Now, here's what I did. And this, don't by any means judge me by this, but this is kind of like, you know, whatever. I just went on and made a tiny little transfer of a lemon with a leaf. Okay, I even kind of broke one of the little tips off, but I did this the other day before we were going to go live, and it's just been sitting on the parchment paper. So what I thought would be cute is we're going to go ahead and we're going to fill this in with pink. Yeah, Susan, the misprints are in the public shop. All of our misprint cutters are in our normal online shop. They're not in the crew store. And for anybody that may be confused with that, our crew store is a exclusive store that we have for our cookie crew members, because there are certain cutters that only they have access to that we do not put out for the public to purchase. So if you're wondering what are they talking about, that's what they're talking about. Okay, so I went ahead and flooded the little band in, and I have this little lemon. So I'm going to carefully just kind of drop this in the center of it. I probably could have made it a little bit bigger, but that'll work for what we're doing with it. Really cute, right? So like I said, I could have even made a couple lemons to go on the center part there, but we're just going to go with that. Okay, let's do this. I have a thicker yellow icing, so let's go ahead and open that because I want to make some straps on our dress. And Belinda, yes, I finished the entire season already. Don't judge me, I know. I started making it, or I'm sorry, I started watching it last night and I finished it this morning, but it was so good. Okay, so I have a thicker yellow here, and what we're going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and add a couple of straps. And to do that, I'm starting up here on the hanger, and I'm just going to bring them down until they touch the top bodice part of the dress. Okay, easy as that. You could do more elaborate straps if you wanted to. You can do thicker straps. You can do straps with designs. You can do whatever. But for tonight's, we're just going to keep them really simple, okay? But isn't that cute already? You could even go and you can outline if you like a thicker pink. You could add pink down to this part. You could do what may be really cute, and I may go back and do. I don't have any thick pink sitting out. But what would be really cute is to go in here and add like a really cute kind of like ruffle design with the pink at the bottom of the dress. That would be adorable too. But ideally, before I would add the straps, I'd usually go in and like paint this hanger gold or silver before I add the straps. The straps are going to be like one of the last things I do. It would be really cute too if we added a pink like ruffle down here. You could add the same type ruffle up here on the bodice too to kind of tie everything together. The lemon stencil, I believe, I got it from Bobby's, but you can get a lemon stencil at like a million different shops. So, there's metal ones, there's 3D ones. You can get them from a ton of different places. Okay. Now on the lemon, this is not completely dry by any means, but it's just crusted up a bit. I'm going to go back in with this thicker yellow, and I'm just going to be piping on some little dots, random dots, for that represents like the rind on the lemon, right? Because it's textured. It has kind of like the dotted look to it. So we're going to add some of those. All right. And I'm not going to go across the whole lemon. I'm just going to add a few on this one little corner. But if you wanted to do it like across like the whole lemon, you could do that too. Okay, so there's our lemon. Easy peasy. You can even get lemon cutters that have like the leaf on it. That would be cute too. This is just the one that I had. Okay, now let's go back to our pinwheel because I'm going to show you guys kind of like the last step that I like to do. And this may not be quite dry enough, but we're going to do it anyway. What I like to do is these smaller triangles that we did in yellow, I like to go back in and outline. You can outline to tie it all together. You can outline with like a pink if you want, a green, a yellow. I'm just going to use the same yellow but thicker that we flooded it with, okay? So I'm just going to go here and just outline each triangle that we flooded. Okay, it just helps those little triangle pieces kind of pop out a little bit. Okay, and we're going to continue going around. Okay, now for the center part of this pinwheel, I want to do a really cute kind of like star in the center. You could do that. You could do it with like sprinkles on top, whatever you wanted to do. But I'm going to show y'all how I like to switch out bags between like using metal tips. So for instance, if I'm going to do like a star type tip in the center of this, you can't really cut that out of a tipless bag. You have to use a metal tip. So that's in the few instances when I'll break out a metal tip. Okay. Now what I do is, this is a size small tipless bag. This is from Bee's Baked Art. That's where I usually use all my bags from. And what you'll do is you're going to take the end of your tipless bag, and I like to start conservatively. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna cut so that you're gonna have this tip to fit in the bottom of this, but you don't want this cut open so big that the tip just comes out. You want it to sit in there where it sits snug in the bag. Hey Rochelle, how are you? They are, yeah, Janie. All of the clips that I have on my bags. This one is from Grunderfully Delicious. And then the yellow ones I have are from Bee's Baked Art. So yeah, they're made for icing bags. Okay, so I'm just gonna, like I said, I start a little conservative and I'll cut off. So you can see here's the piece. I cut off a piece on the end of the bag. And then what I do is I will open the bag up. And I will put the tip in and see where I'm at. So if you can see, as I push the metal tip into the bag, it's still snug enough that the tip is just going to stay snug in the bottom of the bag. It's not going to pop out unless I really tried to force it, and then you could rip the bag. But you don't need to force it. You just push it down enough. And then what you can do is, I like to leave the tip end of whatever I'm going to be using. If I want to use, like this is a 21 by Wilton, it's like just a star tip. Let's say I'm going to use this with different colors. Just leave this bag, and then what I do is, this is our thicker yellow that we have. I take my bag clip off, and I'll drop this, which I'm going to cut this open just a little bit bigger. Just a little bit bigger. That way the icing comes in a little faster. So I just cut the tip a little bit wider. Whoops, almost ruined our cookie, y'all. Anyway, I drop this down in here, right? So now the bag of icing that I had, I dropped into the empty bag that has the tip on it, okay? So then what I'm going to do, I'm going to just pipe on my icing. Maybe a little bit too thin, but that's okay. It's still going to be cute. You pipe on what you want. Now, let's say you're done with this color and you want to switch it out. You just take this bag of icing out, and you still have your clean bag that has the tip on it. Now, let's say I popped in like a pink color. Once I did that, you just have to squeeze it a little bit to clean out the rest of the yellow that's in the tip. But it's really versatile just to switch icing colors in and out of this one bag if you're going to be using the same tips. Okay, so that's a little trick that I like to do too. Okay. So here's, I mean, honestly, I probably should have made my icing a little bit thicker, but you get the gist, right? So there's our little dollop in the center. So let me move our paper towel, and you guys can kind of see, if I had a thicker pink on hand, I would have done the ruffles on the dress, but I don't. It's a flood, so it's not going to, you know, it wouldn't hold any shape. Let me zoom out so y'all can kind of see all of these together. So you can see how cute these are. It's like a little summer set. But my pinwheel, I think, is one of my favorites. You can do so many different designs. And I wanted to just show you guys how you can do that wet on wet. You could do anything you want. You could do this with pineapples. You could do this with, I mean, anything. It doesn't have to be fruit. It could be anything. You could do it with little birthday balloons. You can do it, I mean, there's so many different things you can do. And you don't have to have a stencil to do it. But I wanted to show you different ways you can do that with stencil or with not. Does anybody have any questions for me about anything you saw here? Whether it be any of the products I used or, you know, any of the things I showed you, like maybe the wet on wet, or one thing I'll tell you about the wet on wet is when you're doing that, you don't want to have your flood be too thin. If your flood is too thin, it's going to be really hard for you to manage your wet on wet and from keeping it from running off the cookie. So you want to make sure you have kind of like a nice medium flood, you know, where it's still going to smooth out, but you don't want it to be super thin. You want it to be able to hold that design that you're piping on with the different colors, if that makes sense. Okay. Hey, Carmen, how are you? Thanks, guys. So I'm glad you guys are with me tonight, just for a little bit. Not a super long live tonight, but I wanted to come on. Like I said, I wanted to play around with our dress cutter a little bit more, and I love lemons, and I'm like super obsessed with our pinwheel cutter right now too. And so I thought this would be a really cute summer set to show you guys. And it showed off a couple of, you know, things that maybe you hadn't tried before. Maybe you haven't tried the wet on wet design, or maybe you haven't even tried like stencils with airbrush. So this gives you something to kind of try. But I think that's it for tonight. Again, if you want to see any of the links that we have for stuff, where to get these two cutters in our shop, we have a link for where I got my lemon cutter at. We have all the colors that I used tonight. Any of our info, if you put in lemons, you'll get that to your Facebook Messenger inbox. So just follow the prompts there and you'll get all those fun links. All right? All right. Well, until then, I guess I will talk to you. I don't think I will be doing a cookie live next Wednesday. Because we are going to Florida for my husband's family reunion. So I doubt we'll be doing cookies next Wednesday unless our plans really change. But we'll be here the following Wednesday, and of course I'll try to, you know, I'll still be posting on the page and keeping up. So, but I think that's it, and I will talk to you guys soon. You guys have a great night. Bye.